Welcome to the Scene Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Scene Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Borak. I hope you have had a wonderful week. I hope you are getting ready for an amazing future week. I know this comes out on Mondays, so I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and then I hope you have a great beginning of your week as we go into the week. Guys, I don't know. It's Monday for me too. I'm tired. I'm joined, of course, like always, by my wonderful producer, my great friend, my brilliant editor, KJ. KJ, how you doing?
I'm doing better now that I got my Dunkin' Cocoa. Oh, so good.
Oh, that is wonderful. I am so excited for today's episode, guys. So let's get right to it. KJ, let's go off into the first segment.
Shows you should know.
All right, it's time for Shows You Should Know, the segment where I get to do my favorite thing in the world, tell you all about plays and musicals you might not have heard of but need to consume ASAP. Let's get right into it, everybody. The first play I'm going to talk about is from a pretty well-known playwright, but I don't know if you've heard of this one. It's called The Comeuppance by Brandon Jacob Jenkins. A group of old classmates have decided to pregame their 20th high school reunion, and everyone is understandably excited and nervous for the night ahead. While in school, the friends have dubbed themselves the multi-ethnic reject group, as they found comfort in each other in their erstwhile status as outsiders. Easing their nerves with drinks and drugs, they reminisce about their teenage selves and reveal how their lives have unfolded since graduation. When their guard comes down, they discover just how much their friendships have stood the test of time. Yo, this play is amazing. It's witty, it's smart, it's moving. It is a hilarious and heartfelt story of friends, and I love hyperrealism, obviously, and like a simple cast, like a beautiful play where you get to just look at human behavior between buddies, and that's what this play is. I would rate this one, though, like PG-13 or like R rated, so it might not be great for high schools to look at, but colleges and... Well, wait, let me think. 20 years... like 38. It's like late 30s is like everybody's in like their like mid to late 30s. So I would say a college could probably pull that off, but professional theaters primarily. This play is like truly one of my favorites. It's not published yet. It just went up off Broadway. So you can't eat your hands on it just yet, but you know, when it gets published, I will be one of the first people with a script in my hand and I will be incredibly pumped up. Next play, Everything's Fine by Douglas McGrath. As Douglas McGrath remembers it, he had a pretty idyllic childhood. Growing up in Midland, Texas in the 1970s, he rides his bike around town, hangs out with his best friend Eddie, and eats at Texas Burger every chance he gets. But once he starts 8th grade, his new teacher challenges his outlook on life and what he can expect from it. His moving, evocative memoir play explores how we grow up, how we understand each other, and how we offer grace to those who need it most. I am afraid of one-person plays. It is like scary to me as a playwright to like even think about writing. It's so nerve-wracking. I think that sometimes like those one-person plays can get a little soapboxy or they can feel a little one-note, and McGrath does an amazing thing with his like one-man memoir play. It feels so versatile for the performer, but it also is just like, what a wonderful way to tell the story. I don't want to give too much of it away, but it's an amazing play written by a guy just looking back at his childhood. It's wonderful, it's heartfelt, it's beautiful. Oh, it's just so good. Everything's Fine by Douglas McGrath. One of my favorite one-person plays I've read in a long time. It's wonderful, and here's the thing. If you're looking to produce a one-person play, go for it. But if you are a dude looking for monologues, this thing is full of them. I would probably say this and Tom Paine by Willie No are my two favorite like one-person plays to pull monologues from. Everything's Fine, Douglas McGrath. Pull from this play for monologues, produce this play. It is one of my favorite one-handers I've ever read. Final play I want to talk about today, From the Mouths of Monsters by Idris Goodwin. Guys, this was so exciting to find, okay? Ready? Teenage poet Michelle is used to fading into the background. Performing at a poetry slam feels impossible until she's offered a mask with the power to remove the wearer's doubts. But when the mask proves to have other strange powers, Michelle must dig deeper to find her true voice. An imaginative slam poetry fable inspired by Frankenstein, recommended for grades 3 and up. Look, I love an adaptation, and this is a wonderful one of those. Seriously, it's great for all ages. And I know sometimes when I think of like a G-rated play, I think of like a TYE show that I might bring my like 4-year-old cousin, which I totally could. This is one of those really interesting ones where like I think the role of Michelle is so well written, it's so well crafted. The arc of this character, finding herself, getting herself into trouble, using this magic. I also think fantasy in plays is really, really hard to grasp onto really well, and Idris Goodwin does an amazing job with this. But Michelle is like such a well-crafted character for a kid's play. It is so good. If you're a young woman looking for a good monologue, Michelle is full of them. But From the Mouths of Monsters is a great play for all ages. I think this play could be produced at any level: high school, college, professional, all of it, middle school. You could produce this play at any level you want. And From the Mouth of Monsters is truly one of my favorite like finds recently. I was just kind of scouring the internet and I just found it by Idris Goodwin, and I was so excited. So yeah, those are my 3 plays for you all to consume for the week: From the Mouth of Monsters by Idris Goodwin, Everything's Fine by Douglas McGrath, and The Comeuppance by Brandon Jacob Jenkins. Hope you enjoy it, and KJ, let's keep on going.
Theater in a minute.
That's right, it's time for Theater in a Minute, where I explain something from theater past, present, or future as quickly as my brain lets me. Today's topic is the brilliant, the funny, the amazing Neil Simon. So KJ, let's get to it. Start the clock in 3, 2, 1. Neil Simon was a prolific American playwright and screenwriter renowned for his wit, humor, and insightful portrayals of human relationships. Boom. Born on July 4th, 1927 in New York City, Simon grew up in a tumultuous environment following the early death of his father. His dad died, I think, when he was like 7 or 8 years old. His experiences during this time greatly influenced his writing. Simon's career spanned several decades. He was writing forever, during which he penned numerous critically acclaimed plays: Barefoot in the Park, The Odd Couple, Brighton Beach, Biloxi Blues, Broadway Bound, the entire Eugene trilogy, Lost in Yonkers, everything. Many of his works were inspired by his own life and relationships, characterized by sharp dialogue, clever one-liners, and relatable characters. I personally think Neil Simon writes maybe the best joke in playwriting history. As someone who loves joke and joke structure, if you read Neil Simon's plays, the jokes within his script read so perfectly as setup punchline. It's great, and it's so hard to make that work in dialogue, but he does it brilliantly. He was one of the most successful playwrights in Broadway history, earning multiple Tony Awards for his contributions to theater. Simon's ability to blend comedy with poignant human stories made him a beloved figure in the world of entertainment. He did so much stuff. He wrote some screenplays. He wrote the movie The Goodbye Girl. He wrote The Sunshine Boys. He wrote California Sweet. He also started working in musicals. Fun fact of the day, did you know Neil Simon wrote the book To Sweet Charity? I bet you didn't. Unfortunately, Neil Simon passed away on August 26th in 2018, leaving behind a legacy of timeless humor and profound insight into the human condition through his remarkable body of work. I've been really, really lucky to do a ton of Neil Simon. I was in Sweet Charity. I've done the entire Eugene trilogy, where I played Eugene in Brighton Beach Memoirs, Biloxi Blues, Broadway Bound, all of them. I was actually in a production of Broadway Bound when Neil Simon passed away, and we dedicated the entire run to him. I just think as a comedian and as a playwright, Neil Simon is maybe one of the most important people I need to know. And if you are someone who loves comedy and wants to see a play that is written for the joke, read any of Neil Simon's plays. Honestly, read Laughter on the 23rd Floor, because it is brilliant, and it is some of the best joke structure in the world of theater. That's my little time to nerd out on Neil Simon, and I hope that some other theater and comedy fans have some crossover and they enjoyed this one. KJ, let's keep on going.
Have you subscribed to Broadway Book Club? Click the link in the show notes to see how you can get your favorite plays straight to your door. Subscribe annually to get new themes each quarter, or choose from our specialty curated collections. What are you waiting for? Head to the show notes for more information on Broadway Book Club.
All right, everybody, it's time for one of my favorite rotating segments, Regional Theater Roundup. In this segment, I talk about a regional theater that I love that might be in your area, and if it is, you should totally check it out. Today, we are talking about the Alliance Theater, based in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're in Georgia, you gotta listen to this one really hard, and if you're not, You also should. The Alliance Theater is a regional theater based in Atlanta. It won the 2007 Regional Theater Tony Award. It is wonderful. It was founded in 1968, and its first production ever was King Arthur. Very, very cool. Now, they've done a ton of really cool work. They did the world premiere of Tiger Tail, which is a Tennessee Williams play. They did Come Back to the Five and Dime. They've done a ton of awesome stuff. I personally experienced the Alliance Theater when I was going to school in Charleston, South Carolina. I was so lucky. I got to see the production of The Prom before it went to Broadway, and it was an absolute blast. But the Alliance really found their way when Kenny Leon, famous director, we all know him from The Raising the Sun. I think was it 2014 is when he won the Tony for Raising in the Sun? I'm not sure. I believe it was 2014 when he won the Tony, when it was revived. But when he came, he brought a lot more attention to diversity and finding cool work for different cultures and different groups of people that are within the theater community. So we got to see awesome shows like Aida come here before it went to Broadway. We saw The Last Night at Ballyhoo, the Alfred Uries play. There are so many wonderful, wonderful shows that started here. You know what else started here? The Color Purple. You know what else started here? Bringing On the Musical, Sister Act the Musical, Tuck Everlasting. A ton of really, really, really cool musicals have come here. And the reason why I wanted to talk about Alliance Theater Company today is, I found this out and I got really, really excited, is that this season, they have a bunch of really cool stuff coming, right? They're doing Fat Ham. I actually might be making a trek down there to see it because I love Fat Ham. Alex Elderman's Just For Us, the one-man play that was on Broadway, he's bringing that there in early January. There's a ton of really, really cool stuff happening, but there's one show that's coming to the Coca-Cola stage, which is their really big theater. It's called The Preacher's Wife. It's inspired by the really famous movie A Preacher's Wife. It's a musical version of it. It's directed by Michael Arden, and ready for this? The music and lyrics are written by Titus Burgess. The person from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt wrote the music and lyrics to this. It's so cool. I'm beyond excited. This movie is wonderful. I love the idea of Michael Arden and Titus Burgess teaming up to do this thing. It's going to be so rad. It's happening from May to June, I believe, and I cannot wait. But the Alliance Theater, I personally think, is one of the hubs for new musicals in our country. And because there's not a ton of regional theater representation down, I'm very lucky to be close to the East Coast. There's a lot of theaters in DC and Baltimore and Cleveland, even places near me. When you get down south, there's not as many. There's only a couple theaters in South Carolina. The Alliance became the theater that I would drive to. It was 5 hours away, but it was where I found my love of I love getting in my car and driving 3 or 4 hours by myself or with a friend to just go see a play and then drive home and think about the play all the way home. And the Alliance Theater became that for me. So I'm really thankful for Alliance. It's one of the coolest theaters ever. And if you are in the Atlanta area, go check out The Preacher's Wife in freaking May. Titus Burgess wrote a musical. Crazy. Oh gosh, I'm freaking out. Oh, what a fun episode. I hope everybody has an amazing Monday. Thank you so much for listening to The Scene podcast. I want to start this off by thanking my wonderful editor, producer, good friend, KJ. Thank you so much, KJ. You rock. I want to thank my team at The Scene. What a wonderful. Go check out our new website. It is awesome. Go subscribe to the newsletter if you haven't. Oh my gosh. What are you doing? Go check out our page on the website. It is so cool. For me, follow me on Instagram at Justin Borak. Check out my other podcast, Play to Z, for some more long-form theater content. Follow me on TikTok at Mediocre Jokes. That's where a lot of theater content gets posted. Go check us out on TikTok at The Scene. We have, I think it's The Scene News. It might be The Scene Podcast. I tag in a couple things, so go check out my podcast to find it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to the episode. I hope you have an amazing week, and we will see you next Monday. I'm going to end this episode the way I end every episode, by saying the thing that every theater student says the first time presenting a scene in front of their faculty. And scene. See you guys next week.
The Scene podcast is made possible by our host Justin Borak, our producer and editor KJ Lampar, and our executive producer Zach Dooley.
Don't forget to follow the show wherever you get your podcasts to stay up to date with our latest theater antics. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you again next time.